Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement. Discover time-tested strategies and get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, back on Personal Pension Radio. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the comments, the emails, the feedback, the questions that keep coming in. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, I am the income engineer, broadcasting from the Personal Pension Radio Workshop here in Southern California. The workshop is in full effect. In the last few weeks, I have been fast building Christmas projects and New Year's presents. Actually, my daughter's Christmas present turned out to be probably an after New Year's present because we have a sick puppy in the house and I wasn't able to work on her project as much as I needed to get it done, to do it up to my standards. But I am broadcasting from the workshop here in Southern California. My mission, and I have chosen to accept it, is to deliver the retirement dream that Wall Street promised but just only doesn't quite make it. The retirement dream for most people is maximum income and a comfortable lifestyle. I help you pull back the curtain on the mainstream financial advice that's out there in the world for decades that is only half right when it comes to retirement income planning. Please feel free to send me an email anytime. If you hear something that prompts you, that gets you excited, that fires you up, send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com, Kraig at kraigstrom, STROM.com. Now, I specialize, as you might have heard and thought, retirement income planning. Retirement is different for a lot of people. Retirement could be selling a business and transitioning to something new. It could be official retirement at age 65. Whatever your definition of retirement is, you've got to have an income to sustain your lifestyle. I specialize in retirement income planning, pre and post-retirement. Most advisors out there have been educated by this Wall Street machine that controls the education for financial advisors. And CPAs and attorneys and bankers and insurance professionals, they all ultimately are on this same education curriculum that's really dictated by the big corporate environment, largely controlled by Wall Street. And the advice when it comes to income in retirement is incomplete, right? Incomplete. I'm here to make sure that you're asking the right questions. Things like, I got to remember not to hit the microphone button with my finger randomly as I turned off the mic. You've got to ask the right questions. Ask your financial advisors, what's my retirement income plan? Be specific. What's the income plan? And if they rattle off something like, based on the 4% rule and Monte Carlo simulations and things like that, say, okay, I want you to prove it. Show me what my retirement income numbers are looking like. That's the real thing. If you want to challenge your current situation and blow up your paradigm on what you think you're on track for, ask your current financial advisor, what does your current retirement income look like? What does it look like, right? I want to make sure that when you get that answer and you're not happy, right, that you're not happy, you come back to me, Kraig at kraigstrom.com. I am fighting this conventional wisdom about retirement planning and the bad advice from financial entertainers. And frankly, the bad advice or incomplete advice from so many people in my industry who don't truly have their clients on track for maximum retirement income. I do want to give you hope for retirement. So please, when you're ready, and I hope you're ready today, do it now. Get in touch with me so that you can take a look at your own retirement income path and know what you're headed for, because the only way you're going to be able to improve it is to find out where you're headed right now and then find out if you have an option to fix it. And I'm telling you, in most cases, we do. Now, quick disclosure, I am not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. I am a certified financial planner professional. As qualified as this cool microphone and all the electronics on my desk make me sound, please don't act on things that you hear on my show as if you're hearing advice for you personally. And especially, dear goodness me, if I can have my Christmas wish and New Year's wish come true, please don't act on anything you hear from a financial entertainer like Dave Ramsey that is not licensed, it's not regulated, that's just giving out, advice willy-nilly on the radio and on podcasts. You've got to meet with a qualified financial planner, and I would encourage you to meet with a certified financial planner, someone that's gone the extra mile to actually be certified and qualified in this business. Now, let's jump right in. I've got a deal of the week, a twofer deal of the week. I'm recording this just after Christmas. My podcast schedule has been a little weird because they've got a sick dog, like I said, and we had Christmas and travels and a variety of other things. But I've got two deals of the week. The first one is actually related to my sick puppy. My dog, Bear, is a little pound puppy that we've had for 10 years. And unfortunately, Bear has developed severe arthritis in his back, and it has pinched off nerves in his back legs. His legs stopped working. He's paralyzed. He needs a wheelchair. The doctor said it's going to be surgery or drugs and surgery, and they don't know if either one of them will really work. So we have opted, rather than cut him up in surgery for an uncertain result that could maybe actually hurt him further, we've opted to give him the medication he needs and get him a wheelchair. So I went and found a wheelchair on Craigslist. Now, these things are specialized, little doggy wheelchairs. They're usually about $250 minimum, or I could make one myself. I'm a pretty crafty guy. I could make a little wheelchair. I found a YouTube video, but I actually found one on Craigslist that wasn't too far away from where I live. It was for $85. Now, I could tell that I would have to modify this little wheelchair somewhat for my slightly portlier dog, but it worked. I went and I got it, $85. I did some basic modifications with some stuff I had around the house, and it works great. It's going to take some time for Bear to get used to his wheelchair, but he does have mobility. If he doesn't fully recover his ability to walk, he has a great chair so that he can still get around outside and in the house. So let's do the math. These things run for at least $250. I saved $165. I literally saved 194% by just doing a quick check on my iPhone. And that was all I did. I grabbed my Craigslist app, boom, doggy wheelchair. It was about 40 minutes away from me. It was worth it. I went over, I got it, I adjusted it, made a little modifications, whammo. 194% savings for Bear's wheelchair. We're still crossing our fingers that Bear might regain some of his mobility, but it doesn't look good. We just want him to be comfortable. So now, I said there was a twofer. So the second deal I got this week to share with you is a wireless cell phone solution for less. So while I was at my car show, for those of you who are new to the show, I do run a car show, Cars and Coffee Corona. I run that show every Saturday. I am a certified crazy car guy and actually have my own car show. So I was at my car show and I was remarking to someone at the car show that I was very frustrated with my cellular service from Sprint. Now, I had a good price from an old plan that we signed up for years ago, but the service at my home had just become progressively more and more terrible. Now, a guy at the show overheard me talking. Somebody I didn't know very well, but he overheard me talking, and he told me to check out the cellular store that he uses. He said, "You got to check out this deal." Now, the part that got my attention was the price, of course. He told me the price he was paying for him and his wife, and I said, I'm thinking, how in the heck is that possible? On basically one of the big name networks, how is that possible? And then he said, that this is the type of store that illegals go to because they can't get credit, so they pay cash. Yes, that's right. He said illegals go to this type of store. Okay? Now, before you jump on me for saying illegals, two things. Not my words, and if you come to the U.S. from Canada, France, Mexico, wherever, without going through the legal channels, you are here illegally. That's just the correct phraseology. I'm sharing it because this guy, he associated this cellular store with a place that illegals go. Like, what? Now, that part actually caught my attention, and it connected the dots when I looked into the deal. People who have terrible credit or operate in the cash society, they still need or want cell phones, right? So what I discovered is that the major carrier networks offer discount month-to-month plans for less than the branded plans they sell in their fancy mall stores. I know that some of you are out there going, duh, Kraig, you should have looked at that a long time ago. It had just never occurred to me. It just had never connected the dots, right? Even with my discount plan still in place from Sprint, we were paying $85 a month with limited shared data. We were sharing the data plan, and we're still paying $85 a month, which, if you really think about it, folks, I mean, those of you who are old enough to remember it, think back. Is it not insane that on top of paying for home phone service, we also walk around paying $85, $90, $100. I've talked to people who pay $200 plus a month for their family plans, for their kids on cell phones. We're paying that much money to walk around with our phone in a pocket. It's amazing, right? It's incredible. But I was still paying for Sprint $85 a month with limited shared data. And most of the deals on new plans at the name brand stores required the purchase of a new phone. To get the great deal, I had to buy an $800 phone. It was ridiculous. And my old iPhone works great, and I refuse to pay for a new one. The discount wireless store offered a plan that allowed me to use my current phone number and get unlimited everything and 10 gigabytes of hotspot. I don't know if I'll ever use that. For almost $20 a month less than I was paying now for crappy service. Now, full disclosure, when I added in tax and everything else, I come out actually a little bit less because I went for the maximum data plan and the whole deal, and I might back my wife's plan down quite a bit just because she doesn't really use a lot of data. So I ended up going up, and I got the maximum data, so I'm about $5 to $10 less than I was paying for way better coverage. I mean, way better, because this is really generic, very affordable coverage geared towards a group of folks who generally cannot afford the big name brand stores at the mall, right? This coverage is geared towards folks who can't afford that stuff. But the fantastic thing is that the network is the name brand network. I'm operating on the T-Mobile network. So with my network now running on T-Mobile, it's perfect at my house. So that's the deal. Access to the same T-Mobile, AT&T, or Verizon networks using a plan designed for people who can't afford the name brand plans. That's amazing. I mean, I have to say thank you. I actually, like I said, I don't even really know the gentleman at my car show. I'll have to say thank you to him when I see him next. So that's my deal. Don't be afraid to check out the month-to-month plans. And again, I don't mean to offend. I was just sharing this story that I thought it was amazing. This connection, it turned into a connection for me about how to find a deal, right? How to find a deal. And I had not connected those dots. I hope you may take a look. Maybe you'll save a dime or two. All right, segment number 1. Watch your step. Watch your step. In the last episode, I actually talked about exotic car hacks. This is a YouTube channel and a thing that I've seen on Facebook. And this idea that you can drive supercars for free. BS. Absolutely BS. Go listen to that episode for more details. The previous episode where I talked about the exotic car hacks, I call BS. Right? I also mentioned last week, as we come up to the end of the year, taxes are not mandatory. Taxes are not mandatory. The tax code, the IRS tax code, is basically a giant instruction book on how to pay less taxes. You just have to have the right team in place to help you read the darn thing, because it's confusing, right? Now, watch your step. I'm going to go into detail on this next one this week, because the markets, the stock markets, right? The stock market is like this plane that's been flying high, and the stock market seems like it is requesting clearance for a landing. It's requesting clearance to come in hot for a landing, right? I've been promoting a protectionist position in regards to the stock market for almost 2 years. Yes, I've been ahead of that. I never claimed to predict. I'm just saying, would it not be a good idea to have some liquidity on the sidelines ready for the bargains when the markets fall, right? Notice I said markets, plural. Real estate in SoCal, for example, is back to crazy time prices. Can this really last, right? The stock market's up. This is up. That's up. Crazy times. Wall Street's message that you should always be investing and that you are stupid for holding cash spans all ages and all age groups, right? So when I talk about this idea of, hey, maybe it's time to just be safe. Maybe you want to kind of back out of some of those crazy high positions and go to cash. Well, Wall Street says, whoa, no, you should never do that. You're stupid if you hold anything in cash. You should always be investing. You should always invest. Remember, I say this. Wall Street says, if you get a flat tire, it's because you didn't invest enough money. If you lose your dog, it's because you didn't invest enough money. The answer is always you got to invest. Going to cash, oh, no, that's a bad idea, right? And it's amazing how it spans all age groups. I had a call with a 24-year-old today who asked his dad for advice about his investment accounts, and his dad's a client of mine and said, you should talk to Kraig. And sure enough, we talked today. He was home on break from school and work, and we were talking, and he said, I've got this money that I've saved up in the bank, and I want to know what to do with it. And I said, well, what do you think? What do you think you should do with it? And he says, well, my friend's dad said that I should invest the money and get it working. Well, why, right? He didn't know why. All he knew was, yeah, my friend's dad said I should invest it. There was no real answer other than invest it, right? I had a call with a 78-year-old recently. The 78-year-old, he asked the same question. What do I do with all this money I have in the bank? I'm not earning any interest on it. I had the same answer. Why do you want to invest? And the answer come back, because I'm not earning anything on my money in the bank. Now, let me share a story. Let me just change gears a little bit. Remember what I just said there. I'm not earning any money on any interest on my money in the bank. Let me share this story of a widow with 3 kids. Her investment advisors at a big name firm, said they had her invested based on her specific situation and with her best interest in mind. I suggested that her investments were all wrong, that she was positioned like a growth investor rather than a single mom income investor who needed to protect her nest egg for the long haul. In the last 3 weeks, she lost $500,000 to the stock market volatility. Wouldn't she have been better off with that $500,000 in a bank account earning 0, right? She needs that money. Wouldn't she have been better off earning 0 instead of losing it? Vaporized $500,000 in market value, right? Back to my earlier point, the 78-year-old and the 24-year-old. When the markets crash, who is in the power position? Yep, people with cash. Please, don't get sucked into the Wall Street mantra that you've got to always be investing, right? I feel terrible for this lady that lost all this money, but that is the Wall Street mantra. And I just think it is so wrong that her investment advisors allowed, that's what they know. Sadly, there's just so many investment advisors that's just what they've been taught, and they built a portfolio based on what they've been taught. And man, she's the lady that I'm talking about here. She's the one who loses in this situation. So unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate. So now, let me try to calm down. I get all excited when I think about that. Now, segment 2, I've got some great questions, right? And this is the question that I followed up from last week from Mike, who sent in a car question about he and his wife buying a car. Now, those of you who also listen to the show, I am a car nut. I have a car dealership license. I enjoy trading cars and driving cars and paying for cars. Retail does not sit well with me. So I have a car dealership license so I can buy them at a good price and sell them and make a little money on them, and I enjoy it. So people know that I have some car expertise. Now, that expertise has largely come from some really quality mistakes made over the years that I've learned from. That's the best way to learn, is just to get out there and make mistakes, right? That's what I keep telling myself when every time I make a mistake, I'm like, I'm done. I don't need to learn anymore. No more mistakes. So the question came in from Mike about buying a new car, and they know I recommend buying used cars, and they wanted some tips. So I had gotten a number of questions about buying cars, and I put together a list of Kraig's car buying tips and tricks. And if you want a copy of the full list, please send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com, and just say car tips or car hacks in your subject line. I'll send you back the document that I've created. I hand it out at my car show, and I give it to anybody who's interested in my take on this growing list. I'm sure that my list will continue to grow, but these are some of the key things that I think are really important, especially in this season that's coming up right now. This is actually one of the busier times for car buying. This goes through this January, February, March. As we get in towards tax time, we start to ramp back up into car buying season. So please keep this in mind. Now, let me go over a few of these, okay? So these are some car buying tips and tricks and things that I suggest. This is the world according to Kraig. But if you want the full list, send me that email and I'll send it to you. Now, one of the things that most people don't think of when they're going to buy a car is they're going to do a trade-in of their current car, and they walk right in the door and they say, I want to trade in my car and buy a new car. Don't do that. Don't mention your trade-in. Negotiate the entire purchase of your used vehicle, hopefully, or new one, whether you're leasing it or not. Now, just a quick side note, if you're determined to lease a vehicle, please go to the source of all knowledge, YouTube and Google, and watch YouTube videos on how to negotiate leases. I never lease a vehicle ever because personally I just don't see the benefit in it for me. But if I were ever to do a lease, I would absolutely brush up on all of my leasing knowledge to negotiate a lease, because yes, the leases can be horrible for you, the buyer. So be careful. So let's say you're going in to buy a vehicle, new or used. You've got to negotiate the entire purchase of that vehicle as if you're not trading in your car. Don't hint that you may want to trade in your car. If they ask, just say, no, I haven't decided. I don't think I'm going to do that. Only bring up the trade after the sale price of your vehicle has been confirmed, right? The dealerships are the worst place to sell your car. They have access to dealer-only auctions. So that's the max price they will pay for your car. They're not going to give you any more for that thing because it's most likely going to go back to the auction anyway, okay? So please, don't tell them about your trade-in until you have negotiated the actual purchase price of the vehicle. Now, Here's another big one. This is one that most people never hear. And you know what? I did some research when I put together my list. This is never on any of the lists that I see. The floor is your friend. Okay? Most dealerships purchase their inventory basically on credit cards, on a credit line, also called a floor line. When you go to a used car lot, even a big name dealership, the cars are almost always and entirely financed. In most cases, the credit line for the dealer inventory has a 60-day window. The dealer pays a monthly finance charge for, let's say, 2 months. And if the car is not sold, they have to pay the entire balance owed on the car. And I'm telling you, dealers do not want to and don't have the money to pay cash for their cars, so they will be far more inclined to bargain if their car is, listen to the word, stale. If that car is stale, they want to get rid of it quick. So if you look at this particular website, cargurus.com, it's a great place to see how many days a used car has been on the lot. The number of days on Car Gurus is pretty close to the number of days that it's been on the lot for that dealership, and it'll tell you how fresh or stale the car is. If a dealer cannot sell before the credit line is due on a car, they will often send the car back to the dealer auction and will many times lose money doing this. They will lose money sending it back to the auction rather than pay full price for the car, right? So, knowing that, and knowing that they think it's better than coming out of pocket for the entire amount, that's where you can swoop in and play the floor game, right? Dealers don't like it when you tell them you know about the floor line. They don't like it. I've used the floor line personally in discussions with other car dealers. And they ask me, are you a car dealer? I'm like, yeah, I am, but I know about the floor line. And he said, and I had one guy actually when I was shopping for my daughter's car, and I said, you know, this thing's kind of stale. It's been here for 45 days. I mean, how long do you have on your floor line? And he said, are you a dealer? I said, yes. And he said, we actually only have about a week or two left on our floor line, and I was going to run this through an auction in Utah, right? So hear that. He knew exactly. As soon as I said floor line, he immediately changed his tone and offered me a significant discount off the current price of the vehicle. He knew that I knew he has got to sell that car, or he's going to eat the whole price of that car. And he made me an offer, okay, that he hadn't had it made to anybody else. So, folks, remember the floor line, okay? And that's going to wrap it up for today. I want you to order, if you have any interest in buying a car, if you have any interest in that, please send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com. I'll send you my full list of my car buying tips and tricks. Please don't hesitate to ask. Now, also, just a quick note, I want to make sure to come back to this because I forgot to mention it earlier. This continues to come up, and it just baffles me that people they just don't pay attention to this. It's incredible. I get this question all the time. Is this data secure? Is this website secure? Is your account process secure? No. Folks, your data is already stolen. Your data has already been breached. That's probably not true for everybody, but that's the best possible way for you to go about your life is assume that your data has already been stolen or sold or hacked or whatever. It's out there, right? So please, your data is not secure anywhere. And by the way, you're on camera everywhere. Right? So your data's not secure. Freeze your credit. Freeze your credit, for crying out loud. It's the best way to make sure that your identity cannot be stolen. And it's free. send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com, subject line freeze. I'll reply. I'll send you the links to the credit freeze sites that you can go right to the credit bureaus and get it done. Get it done. I didn't want to forget that. This season, you've been out there whipping your credit card and buying stuff and going to restaurants and all this great stuff. Your information is floating out there this time of year more than ever. More than ever. Now, let me make sure to give you a quick reminder. The focus, my mission in life, is to help you with your retirement income planning. I also help people with everything from investments, advanced tax planning to lower your taxes every year. We help people with 1031 exchanges on real estate. We help people all across the board. Annuities, life insurance, investments, retirement income planning puts them all together. And the Wall Street plan is the 4% rule. Think about it. $1 million in a retirement account, and someone says, well, you should only take 4% out because that's the way we do it. $40,000 on $1 million, really? If you're on track right now for a Wall Street retirement income plan, please stop. Send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com. Let's do a retirement income analysis on your situation. Make sure that you know what you're headed for, and I will give you options that will run anywhere from 60 to 90% more retirement income to look forward to, but you've got to actually step forward, find out what you're headed for so that you can plan for something different. The retirement income process needs to start sooner than later for you to enjoy the benefits. That's going to wrap it up today. Keep your questions coming. Kraig@kraigstrom.com. I'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio podcast. We took notes for you, so if you missed any part of the show, you can find a full transcript of each episode at personalpensionradio.com. Be sure to download your free retirement income crisis report at personalpensionradio.com. While you're at it, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening. Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.